two, three. One, two, three. Let's go.
Welcome everybody to Teaching Crypto. This is AZcrypto and MrFOMO. We have a very exciting token review today. One of the hottest tokens in the last year that has taken crypto by storm, Luna Terra. Now Luna has become a household name in crypto after being a relative unknown. And when we talk about price action, there's two mainstream coins that we always bring up, and that's Avalanche and Luna. And Luna, Mr. FOMO, you probably remember, in May was at 391, and we got to December 22nd, and yes, we got up to 103.64. The tokenomics are amazing. Price right now is 56.30, between 56.30 and 34 as we talk. Not bad at all. And just a heads up, obviously not financial advice, but we are sometimes in these coins, just a heads up. I'm a big fan of Luna. You can get staking rewards on it on Voyager for 4%, for example. And yes, the market cap is fairly high at over 45 billion, but it's been much higher. And it's weird to say at 45 billion that there's room to grow, but I definitely think there's room to grow. You're going to go into some of the tokenomics, about this coin. It's very, very positive for price action. They're into stable coins. They have their own. The Luna stablecoin, the US Terra, was actually just adopted on Kraken. They're trying to get it on more exchanges. It is a bit of an uphill battle because you're fighting USDT and traditional Tether. But I think there's a place for more stable coins. I definitely think there is. So what are your thoughts on this project?
I love this project. We trade in and out of this project. This is one of our success stories on the channel. You mentioned the dates at the low price and the high price. We started layering in, I think, a little bit early, and somewhere in the teens, and then DCA'd all the way down and DCA'd a little bit more, and collected some profits on this one here in December. So big, huge fan of Luna. But first of all, the team that they have, a bunch of young go-getters. I think maybe only one of them shaved so far. So like they're definitely not our age, you know what I mean? But they're experienced people led by Do Kwon, Brian Jung, Nicholas Platius, I'm nailing that one, and Paul Kim. But a lot of experience, even for young guys, and they're doing a great job over there. And when you get into the tokenomics, you really start to understand the genius of these fellows. And Terraform Labs, because they have their UST backed by the Luna. And when the UST supply goes up, it works on supply and demand, the price naturally goes down, right? So if it drops to 99 cents, then that incentivizes people to burn their Luna and buy UST at that cheaper price, especially in the aggregate in huge sums, because the profit is only a penny per dollar that you're trading. And so it incentivizes people to burn huge amounts of Luna in order to stabilize the price of that stablecoin. I love that algorithmic stablecoin method. And it's not just for the US dollar. They have the ability to have stablecoins for any number of pegs. And so it's really a genius project. And it works in the same in the opposite. If the supply of UST becomes low and the price goes up, then they'll mint Luna in order to drop that price. But as far as we've been seeing, that hasn't been the case. People are buying up that stable coin, and so it has worked in the opposite direction a lot. But you can get 7 to 10% by staking your Luna in the Luna stake pools, and you can get 20% by working with their Anchor protocol. And this is the place where a lot of the DeFi degens, like the decentralized finance degenerates, are really doing their damage. is this is where they're doing their looping. This is where they're buying their Luna and letting it go up in price, but they're also staking that Luna, borrowing against that staked Luna, and then restaking that that money into another protocol like the Anchor protocol or into Near protocol. And so I don't know that there's anything not to like about Luna.
So the ecosystem is continuing to grow. For daily volume, significantly during the fall was over 1 billion for a project that was once out of the top 50 that has roared into the top 10. Daily volume right now is around 418 million, so it's starting to build. I think as BTC goes up, the pattern we want to talk about is as BTC goes up and the demand for Terra goes up, the price will continue to go up because we know people use their stable coins as a place to hold their money to buy crypto. So as BTC goes up, Luna should hopefully go up. And I think we're just starting to see, again, the alts overall have been weak. You know, BTC is gone from 32. Now we're between 43 and 44. We'll talk about that more later. But as the alts recover, I think Luna is going to be a leader, just like it was over the summer. Again, we don't love to make predictions, but I feel comfortable saying if we get a real recovery, over $100 Luna again is, I think, very, very reasonable to think that will happen. I like it a lot. For me, right now, where we are in the market, alts are still kind of trying to recover at 56. You know, in the 56, low 56 area, I like it as a buy, 100%. I would say absolutely. And again, we always say everything's predicated on BTC. Most models right now feel comfortable that BTC is not going back in the 30s for now. So for me, I would say definitely a buy. Again, do your own research like we always talk about. But Luna for me is something that I am in, and I'm excited to see what happens over the next couple months.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. For me, it's also a buy, especially at these levels in the 50s range. I know that James from Invest Answers a month ago did a video on Luna, and it was in the 80s at that point, and he was even saying that his levels are somewhere in the 60s. I mean, obviously the market has changed since then, but people were comfortable buying in the 60s. I'm sure they're comfortable DCAing in at this level. It got down as low as 53. If you see it at that level again, or even in the 40s, if God forbid something happens to BTC, then I think is definitely a buy. But again, I think it's a buy at this level. And they have a strong community too. The lunatics are super strong on Twitter, Terraform Labs.
Twitter Spaces. There's been a lot of lunatics popping up on Twitter. Very popular now with the Voyager community because Voyager won first place in North America. You can get Luna. But
That's
yes,
right.
I've seen a huge uptick in Luna involvement. I hear they have strong Discord. So I think we're just getting started here. I think Luna is here to stay as a top project.
And I think everything we sort of analyze these projects on, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing not to like about Luna. Everything that we look at the team, the tokenomics, the price action. I mean, everything is there. This is just a beautiful
maybe you could say the market cap's a bit high, but it is a major project. You're not going to compare Luna to something like Engine or StormX. You're going to compare it to ETH. You're going to compare it to Cardano. That's the difference. You know, it's apples or you know what I mean? So when we talk about market cap, it depends on what kind of project you're talking about. It's not going back to 395 as a price. So it's going to live in that stratosphere. The question is, as crypto goes, how high of a cap can it get? And I really think it could go much higher.
And I think I would agree, especially with the ties to UST and the way that those tokenomics work and the burn mechanisms and the way that it becomes deflationary. There's I can't say enough good things about this project.
I want to talk something about pro sports here. We had a lot of ads about crypto in the Super Bowl, which is like to see. But one team that I follow, one of my favorite teams growing up and still is the Cleveland Cavaliers, are a first mover, and they are offering what's called a crypto locker, NFT locker. And you can buy specific NFTs for games that they play. and they'll hold it for you in that locker. It's kind of like what Omi does in their project. You're not going on OpenSea. You're not having to pay ETH gas fees, and basically, they might have a T-shirt from a game, and that T-shirt is 1 out of 500. And so they just started doing this last week, and the shirts that were selling for 20 on the next day, some of them were going for 170. Now, is that a huge profit? I mean, no, but it's money. It's just the beginning. And you made a great point. Why aren't all the teams doing this? I think it's coming. I can't see the other teams being like, oh, they're making thousands of extra dollars on NFTs. Let's not do this. It's coming.
And I'm no Cleveland Cavalier fan, but I have my own locker myself. It's
nice.
It's like you said, it's coming for every other team. I'm not a Chicago Bulls fan. Unfortunately, I grew up here in Florida, so I'm a Cub fan only because of WGN, but I'm an Orlando Tragic fan by birth. And so I'm hoping that the Orlando franchise will get this going as well. Maybe they'll give away some old Penny Hardaway or Shaq stuff, because I don't really know this.
The only negative is they're using a platform called Sweet. Nothing against Sweet, but we were very big fans of Chili's earlier. It was in our first draft, and Chili's had all these partnerships, and it seems like they kind of they dropped the ball on the NFT. It doesn't look like they're involved with the NFTs for these teams. Well, it's only been one team, but I have a funny feeling that all the NBA teams are going to go with Sweet. Just kind of like
so sad too,
got the NBA and Flo got the NFL. They like to follow each other because it's a trusted source. So it seems to me the only negative, it's not a negative for us, but if you were a Chili's holder right now, you'd be a little bit bummed. Just saying.
Yeah, and I think we were. As someone who held Chili's and had high hopes for Chili's, it's sort of upsetting to see them have European soccer like that and have the lead in that market, and then have these other companies come in and eat their lunch.
Well, they announced all these partnerships. There was one 10-day period where every team they announced, but the tokens for the fans are not. It's like they're slow. And then we're not going to too much about Chili's. Opposite of Luna here, the fan tokens are not connected enough to the actual Chili's token.
The tokenomics aren't tied together.
That's why Chili's at one point almost got to $1 just based on hype. And now, as we've kind of entered a crypto stage where utility is starting to matter, it's not the biggest deal. But I think it's going to be tough now for a meme coin to go crazy in the future, like you saw with Doge and Sheeb. Even though Sheeb has some utility now, it's going to be tougher and tougher because people are looking for utility.
Out there claiming that they're working on utility, and their figureheads are out there saying that these projects have utility. So I think even with the meme coins, they've got to prove utility in order to compete. Otherwise, it's just a joke. There's too many people
just inflation
much about this space. When we have crypto commercials on the Super Bowl, too many smart people in this country are getting in on the game, and around the world are getting in on the game. And so you really you've got to offer something that is world beating. I mean, look at these projects that are up there in the top 10. Incredible projects. You can't hang around there unless you're actually doing something incredible.
Really quick on the market, just some key numbers for our audience to be aware of. 45, we got there, but we did not hold this month. So we got to hold over 45. The other number I'm looking at through my research is 48K. I'm not going to pretend to be a TA expert, but getting over 48 is a major hurdle. Remember that 39.6 number we gave you, and once we got over, we've never gone back. Well, I'm looking at a bunch of TA guys I follow. They're looking at 48 as a magic number. We can get above and hold 48. We're in great shape. And then I think you'll finally start to see the alts finally rally. They've been really slow. They had a little bit of movement earlier this month, and we've kind of gone backwards. Even when BTC moves, not a lot of them move that well. So it's been slow. So don't give up if you just got into the alts. I think we have not seen the alt movement. Hopefully we're going to see in the next couple months. Let's cross our fingers because we've invested in the future of these alts in the next couple months. So hopefully we're right.
I think
go ahead.
I think something we need to talk about maybe on future shows, especially when we're talking about the alts, is maybe start denominating in Satoshis or Bitcoin. Start to see how much your alt is worth versus the value of Bitcoin, and understand how Bitcoin dominance works in the market. And you'll see that sometimes price action, especially right about now, that's predicated on the idea that the US dollar is losing value. And so if what you're denominating in is losing value, then of course the value of what you're measuring is going to go up. And so I think
we want BTC dominance to go down, because
yeah,
when BTC
but that
dominance
also
goes down,
strength.
The alts show strength, and we want. I mean, unless you're a BTC maximus, which neither me and you are, we want to accumulate BTC. But right now, we are pretty heavily in the alts. We do hope they do well. So we got a fun Friday coming up. Hopefully by Friday we're above 45. We'll see, but we might have some very strong. Again, our picks the last few weeks have done amazing. It's still too early to go back and judge the draft. I think it's way too early because we kind of had a down weekend. We just started recovering. I think we'll wait a couple weeks and see how those picks come out for sure.
I know.
Shots?
I know my immutable X is doing all right. I think I was
okay.
almost 10% because I put my money where my mouth is on that one and I picked it up. But yeah, most of the other ones haven't really moved yet.
But 10%, if you took that and you took the profit, not bad.
I'm waiting for
like I said, I think we're hopefully entering the next, especially we get into March, hopefully some green days. So guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please tell anyone you know that's in crypto to subscribe. Even if they're not in crypto, let's get them involved. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.